In this video, we're going to walk through configuring stackhawk to scan your GraphQL APIs. So as always, you'll need your application ID, your environment name, and your host, so where the application is running at the time of the scan. And then we'll configure the auto policy to true, so this will streamline the types of tests that the scanner will send to your GraphQL API. Additionally, then we're going to enable the GraphQL configuration itself by setting that to true and telling the scanner where to get your GraphQL schema. So whether that's at your introspection endpoint relative to the host or through a JSON formatted schema and pulling that from your file path. Lastly, as a part of the GraphQL conf, you'll set what type of operations we should be looking at, whether that's queries, mutations, or all the above. And then finally, what type of authentication is your GraphQL implementation using, and how the scanner should know whether it's logged in or logged out. So here I'm providing a regex looking at status codes here to give an indication of whether I'm logged in. Those 200 OK responses or those 300 redirects are going to be an indication of whether I'm logged in, as well as then those 400 level status codes, an indication that I'm logged out. Additionally, I'm using an external token as my type of authentication for this API. So I'm using a service like Auth0, scripting the token from that service and supplying it to this variable here. And then I'm telling the scanner how to use that token going forward. So in this case, as a bearer token in the authorization header. And then I'm giving it a test path to go try that token, validate that authentication is working before kicking off the entire scan. So again, in this case, we're looking at our GraphQL endpoint and we're sending in this query, which ultimately requires a token in order to send back the corresponding response or a valid response. And so again, you could use a query or mutation. Just make sure that the body here that you send in requires that authorization token. And that's really all that's required in order to configure stackhawk to scan your GraphQL APIs.